Welcome to the Designer Series. This is a series where I'm going to walk you through the process of creating your first crochet or knit pattern. This is where we're going to take inspiration and put it on paper so you can publish your very first crochet or knit pattern. In the previous episode, we discussed finding your inspiration, defining your vision, choosing the right stitch pattern and hook, swatching, and gauge. Today, we're going to be discussing colors and construction. Color selection. In crochet or knitting, color theory helps you choose yarn shades that complement your pattern, highlight stitches, and create the mood you want. Have you ever heard of color theory? So color theory is essentially the color wheel. It's a circle that organizes colors based on how they relate to each other. You've got primary colors. I know we're going back to kindergartens here. Red, blue, and yellow, which are the base colors that can be mixed together to create anything else. Then we have our secondary colors like green, orange, and purple. These are created when you're mixing two primary colors. Beyond that, you get tertiary colors like teal, magenta, chartreuse, which happens when you mix primary and secondary colors together. Colors also interact in different ways. They can be complementary, analogous, or triadic. Complementary colors, they create high contrast and very bold aesthetics. These are colors that sit opposite of each other on the color wheel, like blue and orange, red and green, purple and yellow. This is great for bold, modern designs that need strong visual appeal. Then we have analogous colors. These are colors that sit next to each other on the color wheel, like blue, green, teal, or red, orange, yellow. They create a more subtle blend look that feels natural and cohesive. This works well for soft romantic designs or patterns that have a delicate flowy feel. Then we have triadic colors. Essentially, you're using three colors on the wheel, such as red, blue, and yellow, or purple, green, and orange. These combinations bring balance while still adding contrast, making them great for fun, colorful designs that would feel lively but not overwhelming. Finally, we have monochromatic colors. This approach uses different shades, tones, and tints of the same color. For example, we could pair light blue, medium blue, and navy blue together to create a not too in-your-face color palette. This is great for modern minimalist designs, allowing textures and stitch definition to take center stage. Color placement can also enhance the structure of your pattern, making stitches and special design elements stand out. Using a neutral base like beige, gray, black, white, with a single bold stripe of color like mustard yellow, deep red, or teal creates classic eye-catching look, drawing your attention to a specific part of the pattern, like a special stitch or a detail. If your design has textured stitches like cable, bubbles, or lace, choosing high contrast colors help make those stand out even more. Lighter yarn like cream or pastels show texture better, while darker shades can sometimes hide those details. A gradient or ombre effect where colors slowly shift from light to dark or dark to light really creates a flowy look that's great for shawls, sweaters, and blankets. Stripes are another fun way to add dimension. Thin stripes keep it subtle, while thick stripes can highlight different sections of a pattern and add a very playful touch to it. Using a darker color for edges, borders, or ribbing draws attention to those details. So if you want the lace edging of a shawl to stand out, using a complementary color for that section is a great way to do so. For a more modern feel, you can go for color blocking, which is where you're using big sections of a pattern for one color. It's going to create that really strong contrast. Before you start designing, pull out all your yarns with the same properties and all the characteristics of the yarn that you use for your swatch, and see which colors will invoke your inspiration best. Which one is going to stop the maker of your dream in their scrolling track? Which one is going to make them say, I want to make that? This is beautiful. And then design your pattern using those colors. If you're enjoying this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any part of this series. Follow me on all my social media accounts and support me for $4 a month on Patreon. It helps me keep creating videos like this for you. Now we're going to talk about construction methods. Understanding different construction methods allows you to choose the best approach for your design goals when it comes to fit and drape. I'll talk about construction methods for shawls, tops, and blankets mostly in this video. So let's start with the construction method for a top or sweater. They are essentially the same way for you to start with both of those. The simplest and most beginner-friendly way to construct those is two-panel methods, where you essentially create two rectangles, one for the front, one for the back, and seam them together. You will be seaming right here at the shoulders, and then you'll be seaming at the side, leaving enough space for your arms to fit. This is great because it does not require a lot of shaping. There is not a complicated amount of math you have to do. You can add more interest to this construction method by using lace stitches, textured pattern, or decorative edges, or mixing and matching them into the pattern to create a more unique design. It's great for casual summer tops, like I was saying, tank tops, and oversized sweaters. Another approach we can go into is the top-down method. Essentially, you're working your way from the collar down to the hem of your top or sweater. This method is usually worked in the round. It can be a seamless technique where you use like a yoke-based sweater, or you can make it raglan style. It can be easily adjusted for your fit and the length. Because there's no seam, you can modify the sleeves however you like, short, long, or even sleeveless. On the flip side of that, you have bottom-up method, which starts with the hem and moves upward towards the neckline. So you're going to start from the bottom to going up. And this one can also be worked in two pieces. Now we're going to move on to the fourth way of creating a top or a sweater. Instead of working your way from top to bottom or bottom to top where you're working your row horizontally, you can work your rows vertically using the side-to-side method. So you'll be working your top from this side to that side. This can also be done with the two panels where you create two panels where you're working this way and then you make one from the front and the back. This technique naturally creates vertical straps effect and is perfect for showcasing color changes or self-striping yarns. It also allows for unique shaping like bat wing sleeves or Dolphin style tops with a relaxed and drapey feel. Finally, there is the modular construction, which is essentially a mix and match approach on assembling smaller crochet pieces like granny square, hexagons, and other little motifs into a garment. This method can really allow you to use your creativity. However, it requires a little bit more planning to make sure that every piece fits together properly. Now, let's talk about shawl constructions. The simplest type is a rectangle shawl, which is essentially you're working a long, wide scarf. It's excellent for beginner projects since it requires no shapings and allows for endless stitch variation. Triangle shawls are another classic option. Essentially, you're starting from the top down. You can increase from the edge, you can with the center to create a V shape. A more modern take on this is the symmetrical triangle shawl, which allows the same increasing principle where you're working increasing from the sides and the middle, but you are increasing unevenly. So you can increase more on one side than the other. The asymmetrical triangle shawl and the traditional triangle shawls are great for showing off gradient or variegated yarn as the various row length changes create interesting color transition. Crescent shawls have a curved, flowy drape that stays in place better than traditional triangle shawls. Circular shawls are the most intricate. They are worked outwards from a central point to create full circles or half circle designs. These often showcase stunning lacework and intricate motifs inspired by dollies, making them statement pieces. They're more complex, but the results are breathtaking. I would save those for more advanced crocheters versus beginner patterns. For beginner patterns, I would stick to triangle or rectangle shawls. Now let's talk about home decor, more specifically blankets. The simplest way to create a blanket or a pillow or any other home decor essentially is going to be working row by row. So you can go top down or bottom up with that. Essentially just working your rows one by one. Or you can go with the modular construction as we discussed with the garments, where you are creating granny square, hexagon, and putting them together to create a big piece. With the modular construction, you can also pair it with the join as you go method, which is where you're putting together the smaller pieces as you go. Instead of having to sew them together and weaving multiple ends at the end, you join them as you go. Next, we have the corner to corner method, which is working from one corner of the piece to the next. You're working on a diagonal. You are increasing to go, and then once you get to the size that you want it to be, you can start decreasing to close your rectangle or your square. This method is often used for graphkins, blankets. It creates a pixelated look and texture. It's amazing to see all you can do with the corner to corner. There are many stitches you can use for corner to corner, which makes it a very versatile method. Whichever method you choose, think about who you're making the pattern for. Keep in mind when you're mixing method, it may change the project's difficulty level. What's next? One of the biggest challenges designers face is translating their vision into a clear, structured pattern that others can follow. Next week, we'll break down how to write professional quality instructions. We'll also touch a little bit on charting, as it can make a complex design much easier to follow, especially for those who are visual learners. Until then, choose your colors, experiment with construction method, and start working on your first project. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any part of this series. Follow me on all my social media accounts listed below, and consider supporting me on Patreon for $4 a month so I can keep making videos like this for you. I'll see you guys in the next video.